You think she's a good girl, but once you get to know her, you realize she's everything. She's crazy, she's funny, she's honest, and you'll never know what she'll do next.
Hello, everybody. I'm so glad you're back. I've got the most amazing man here in Naples. I can't start my podcast series without having Sensei. He's Sensei to me, Jack Morris. Jack Morris was our Sensei at the karate school that my ex-husband, I call him the father of my kids, not ex-husband, that's negative. Father of my kids, and I brought all four of our kids to Sensei Jack's studio with his wife, and I reached, I think it was like the green belt, maybe.
Yeah.
But anyway, do you want to go ahead and say hello to our viewers, Jack?
Hello, everyone.
Jack has been through. Jack, I had to have him on because he is the strongest man, and I want you all to get a feel for what he has gone through in his life. And I mean, we all, like I said last week and the week before, we've all been through things, right? If you see my first podcast of why did you leave Miami, I kind of ran through what I've been through. Well, Jack, do you want to kind of give us a feel for, like, first of all, how many black belts do you have?
Ooh, quite a few. I'm an 8th degree black belt in karate, a 5th degree black belt in jiu-jitsu. I have some other ones, but that's not important. The important part is to just keep learning and giving and sharing.
Exactly. And so when we moved to Panama, Jack, you were starting over to do, what is it you do now?
The acupuncture.
The acupuncture. Now, I've never been over, but I read some of your Google reviews today, and you've gotten some great Google reviews on this. So I'm going to have to come visit you, and we're going to have to see what's going on with me, too.
Absolutely.
But you had talked about some crazy things that you have done with acupuncture, and I have experienced this. And I didn't tell you this, but when I lived in Panama, I experienced, I don't know if I should even say this, but my ex-husband, at the time he was my husband, was like, he wouldn't even go with me to the treatment because he couldn't believe I was doing this. But I had a frequent urination thing, which I do. It's hereditary in my family. And so I was going to this Chinese man in Panama who was treating me for this frequent urination. Well, I still have that. I think it's hereditary. But anyway, tell me some of the things that you've treated people for.
I treat everything basically except cancer and epileptic seizures. Right now, one of the biggest things I'm treating is infertility.
That's
doing
amazing.
fertility treatments. Like last month, I hit 2 bullseyes. I had 2 women that were trying for 2 years to get pregnant, and both of them came in on their 4th treatment, and they're both pregnant.
Wow.
So
I've heard of some amazing things happening from acupuncture treatment. And tell me your story. Okay, I know all I know is what you've been through with the karate and all of this. And just to me, you are just such a great figure of survival and strength. And I know that, I saw on Facebook, you've been dealt with some challenges.
I have.
Here.
I've actually been dealt challenges since I was 15. When I was 15, the doctors told me do really good in school because you're never going to be able to do sports. I was diagnosed with juvenile arthritis. Two weeks later, I started martial arts. Did it for 42 years, full time.
Yeah. Do you still have a studio at all?
I don't. No, we closed it like 12 years ago.
Okay.
But I fought it the whole time. My spirit was always big, but I was always fighting my body. I had 27 surgeries.
Wow.
And all the orthopedic surgeries, I trained through everything. It never stopped me. And then my mom passed away at 48. I think I told you, colon cancer. I had the same thing. So I ended up losing my whole large intestine to that. And I had to fight through that. I almost, I didn't think I was going to make it out of the hospital.
Right.
I was 140 pounds. It ate 50 pounds of muscle off me in 10 days. And I fought my way back and did really good with that and made it like 7 years. And then because I was training still, I ended up with 7 abdominal hernias at once. So that eventually, that's why I closed the school. 'Cause
Okay.
I could not train and teach.
I knew that was where your passion was.
That was my
I'm sure it was
passion.
difficult for you to close that school.
It was very difficult.
And you were so well loved. It was so well attended.
Well, we promoted we did just under 10,000 promotions in 32 years. So our last promotion ceremony, we numbered the certificates, and it was like 9,900 and something. But yeah, and it was hard. I thought I was okay with closing the school. Everybody's like, don't get depressed. But I miss the people, I deal with 300 people a day sometimes, how big our school was. But a lot of people go through life, don't find a passion. I had a passion, got to live it. Couldn't do it anymore. But in my back pocket, when I started my karate career, I went to acupuncture school, and it was always like a side thing, vocation. I treat the moms.
Because I thought you were doing it at the same time. You were doing the karate.
It was
and then all of a sudden, when I moved to Panama, I noticed on Facebook it overtook what you were doing with karate. So tell me, what was it that drove you from? I mean, you said it was health issues as well, but what was the desire that you had that made you switch over to acupuncture full time?
Well, for one, it's one of the things that I could do. If not, I'd be working at Home Depot or driving a truck.
Well, at least you'd be working, right?
I would, yeah. I would.
You were working.
I've always been working.
I mean, this man, yesterday, I asked him if he wanted to be on my podcast. I wasn't sure who I was going to have, if I was going to have anybody. And then I thought of Sensei Jack, and I thought, oh my gosh, I have to have him. And then I wasn't sure he'd be able to do it today. And I asked him, and he said, well, let me move some things around. And that's what I love about this man. He is a man of action. He gets it done. He wanted to do this show. And thank you so much for moving things around. Because it means a lot to me and my viewers to hear your message.
Yeah, I appreciate being able to tell the viewers, so I basically, started with the acupuncture. It blew up right away. In 3 months, I was full. I've never advertised. I just word of mouth. And then through the COVID thing, I got a thing called Guillain-Barré, or people call it Guillain-Barré syndrome. So I was paralyzed from the neck down I was gone for 42 days.
How did this happen?
I got COVID, and they say when your immune system's low, you can get it. And it basically starts in your toes. Most people have tingling in their toes, and in 24 hours, they're fully paralyzed.
Well, you said you got COVID 3 times, right? Because you kept treating these people that had COVID.
I was begging for COVID patients.
I bet.
Once I realized, because I want to help people.
Yes.
And I did help a lot of COVID patients. So some of them, they would get better in 3 or 4 days. We take all the heat out of the body and stuff. But so yeah, I did that. And then, I had COVID, and then I tested on Sunday. I was negative. I went to work on Monday. I called my wife at 10 in the morning. I go, I can't feel my feet. And my feet always hurt because I taught for 32 years barefoot on the floor.
Right.
So she's like, do they hurt or you can't feel them? I go, I can't feel them.
And your wife is a black belt as well, right?
Yes,
How many black belts did she have?
She was my first karate teacher.
She was your teacher? I never realized that.
Yes, she was my first teacher. And so, yeah, that's a whole nother story.
And
that's a great story.
Yeah.
So then I ended up paralyzed. I made it 3 days. Most people are within 24 hours they're paralyzed. And when I went to the hospital, it was right here. I felt blessed because when it gets up here, you have to go on life support. You have to be on a respirator because it paralyzes all the muscles. But God let me eat, breathe. I couldn't move. I literally couldn't scratch my chest. I had to learn to eat.
Were you in the hospital bedridden, or did they?
Yeah, they stick you in the bed. Basically, what they do is they stick you in the bed. And they don't do anything. It climbs up your body, and once it reaches where it's going to stop and starts coming down, then they send you to a live-in rehab facility.
Wow.
And I went to Sarasota because here they didn't have what I felt were good enough places. I wanted some place that I could train all day. Here they do an hour of rehab a day. There they did 3 hours, which I made them turn that into 6 hours so I could get out of there.
So how long were you in treatment?
Well, I was gone from my house for 42 days. I was like here for 2 weeks, fully paralyzed, and then I got transported up to Sarasota, and that's when I started fighting. And I fought my way out, and I told them the first day I was going to walk out of the hospital, and they said, change your goal because nobody walks out. I was mad.
Limited belief.
I was mad at the lady. I said, she said, get a realistic goal. And I said, you know what realistic goals are? For people like you that are telling people their limitations. I'm going to stick with my
I
goal.
love it. I love that.
And I did. I walked out. Now, I wasn't walking all over. I went to the threshold in my wheelchair, walked across. But 2 days before that, I never walked. I couldn't.
And how long did it take you to get from start to finish when you first got sick to you were
Till I was walking around.
normal?
But when you get out, the average, I was doing some research, and the average person is in a wheelchair for 9 months when you get out of rehab. I was in a wheelchair for 2 weeks. I used a walker for a week, the cane for a week, and then I was walking. Now, I'm not 100%. Everybody thinks I am because I can fake it good, but I still
Well, you look great.
I still can't feel my toes. There's certain things.
Right.
And, at the end of the day, it's neurological. So, I start dropping stuff if I do too much. So I got to learn to rest. And I'm still healing. The nerves take a long time to heal, so they were damaged. But, it was kind of fun, like the fight. People ask me, like, were you scared? And I never, ever once did it enter my mind, will I ever be able to walk again? I just, I asked them, if I fight, will I get it again? He said, well, it's 0.015 chances. So I went into fight mode, and all the times I had these bouts, I do what everybody does. Why me? No. And I do that for about 24 hours, and then I go, okay, what do I need? Tell me what I have to do to get better.
Right.
And I did, and I fought my way out. And I made a big statement up in Sarasota, like they never had anybody like me. And once I got in my wheelchair and I could move, they couldn't stop me. Like, you're not even supposed to be in the gym without an appointment. They'd bring me back to my room. I'd wait 20 minutes and I'd just go back to the gym.
I bet.
So because if you're not in the gym, you're in the hospital bed sick. And I wasn't sick. I just couldn't move. So I didn't want to be sick now like I was sick.
So how long were you in the hospital?
I was in the hospital for 2 weeks here and then a month up in Sarasota.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I came home, did physical therapy here, probably for 6 months. And, it's just, you have to learn to fight. And my thing is, like, I was at my worst. Nobody was there. My wife was down here. I could see my wife 2 hours a week because of the COVID thing. So I had to learn to fight. One of my favorite sayings in life, and that taught me this, was when you're down, is, if you can breathe, you can fight. So keep breathing.
Right.
Sometimes it's as simple as, don't think of the big picture. Just take another breath.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps you going. So you
Yeah.
get goosebumps talking about it. But yeah, just sometimes taking another breath is enough. And that's what you have to do. Take it breath by breath. Sometimes we say take it day by day. Sometimes it's minute by minute, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then it turns into something better.
Mm-hmm.
And staying positive. I think one of the biggest things when people get chronic diseases is that they become part of their disease and they talk about it. What I try and teach my patients is quit talking about it.
Exactly.
So when people ask,
we're talking about where you are, right? Don't reinforce where you are right now. Talk about where you want to be as though you're there. Right?
You don't want to live there and solidify yourself there and become that disease. So you just, you have to learn to just keep moving on and looking ahead.
I wasn't planning on saying this, but I don't know if you know this story, but when I was 23 and it was before I was 21, it was when I was 19, I was in college. I was driving to a cheerleading camp I worked at. I overcorrected. The car went off the road. I overcorrected. It flipped 3 times, threw me back in the road 75 feet. I went into a coma. I was in a coma for 5 days. When I woke up, I couldn't move the right side of my body. I had a head injury. So I know what you're talking about. And you know what my dad did? He threw me right in the swimming pool to swim laps. At first I couldn't move the right side of my body. I couldn't swim laps. But you know what? Your body remembers what you are used to. Your body, I'm sure, remembered you're a fighter. You know how to fight.
You know what
right?
was funny is they were trying to get me like to lift my hand up, and I couldn't do it. But if I did a move like karate, like we did our blocks, if I did this, because I did millions of them, my arm would go up. But if they asked me to lift it this way, it wouldn't go up. But if I did something familiar with it, so I had them tie all those bands. My bed was filled with it because I'd wake up at 2 a.m. and I want to work out. So I'm like, I need bands here. I need bands. They come in the middle of the night. I'd be working out. Because if you don't fight, and you have to decide what is well for you. Some people that were in that rehab place thought washing themselves and going to the mailbox was going to be enough.
Yeah.
And with Guillain-Barré, they say 85% of the people get well. Well, I researched out of those 85%, there's a big percentage that are on walkers and wheelchairs, and they call them
right. Success. Yeah.
I told my OT and my PT, we were talking about that, and I said, this thing we're doing here, if I'm not 110% symptom free, you all get an F. There's no B's or C's.
I love
here.
it. I love that.
A plus or it's an F.
Yeah.
I have that. I'll take a cane when I'm 80, but I was 62. I'm not taking a cane at 62. And if you don't fight.
And how many years ago was this? How old are you?
This was 4 years ago.
So you're 66.
66.
Yeah. And so looking back on it, what did you learn? Or what can we learn from what you went through?
Well, one is that you can keep going, is that when you think you don't have anything left, you actually do. I can tell you with my karate, we promoted about 70 black belts. And you know how we used to get them ready. They go through the ringer. So every one of them eventually comes to me on the side and says, Sensei, I don't have any more to give. This is all I have. And I would go, I know you believe that, but my job is, I know there's more in there, and my job is to drag it out. So get back out in front of the work. Exactly. And that's the truth. Like when we think we don't have anything left, we actually do have something left. So I was saying, like, one of my favorite sayings is when somebody asks you, how you doing today? A lot of people don't really want to hear it. And I don't want to go, like, if I'm having a really bad day, I don't want to tell anybody. So my favorite saying is, I got a good day coming. Instead of telling them like, oh, this is a horrible day, because we know it's going to change. It always changes.
My answer is always fantastic. That's always my blanket answer. Fantastic.
Yes. And that's true. So, I don't want to lie to somebody and go, oh, I'm doing great. Life is good if I'm struggling. But I'm just, instead of going through it, I go, I got a good day coming. Because if you're having a bad day, there's a better day coming. It always does. Sure. We just don't, when we're in the fight, we don't see it.
Exactly. Sure.
It's important to keep going, to stay positive, and to have a reason.
Well, this is what I was going to ask you. So what is your reason? What kept you going? I'm sure that you had some dark days.
My reason, it sounds kind of cliche or whatever, but my reason is always my wife. I love my wife, that. And whenever I'm at my worst.
How many years have you been married now?
41 years.
Wow.
We've been together 44 years. And I just always, like, where's my wife? If she's there, I know I'm going to be fine.
She's just beautiful. Pam used to teach the kids in the karate studio, so I know Pam very well. She did a great job with my kids.
She's awesome, and she always supported me. She's always been there. She won't leave the hospital when I'm there. And she can do no wrong as far as I'm concerned.
Well, great message.
And you got to have you have to have a reason, like for you. And another thing people do, they go, oh, you're so strong and all this. And we all are if we don't have a choice, right?
Yeah.
When you had this happen.
It's a choice.
It is a choice.
Happiness is a choice, right? It's all a choice.
Every day.
How you perceive what happened to you, what you choose to do with it. It's like when I got in the elevator, I think I told this story on the first podcast, when all these bad things that happened to me, someone in the elevator said, oh, wow, you look like you're having a great day. And I was going through a really, really super hard time. And I said, you know why? Because I choose to be happy. That's why I'm happy.
Yeah. And you have to make this choice.
and that's just, You have to choose it.
And it works.
You're going to continue. And pretty soon you start believing it.
You
Right?
do believe it.
My mom used to always say, dress for success, because as soon as you see the response of people seeing how great you look, then that's going to make you start feeling better.
And it will. It works for sure. Fake it till you make
For
it.
sure, for sure. Well, is there anything else you want to share before I go to the real estate minutes, Jack?
I can't think of anything. It's been a pleasure.
I'm
Really
so
great
glad
seeing
I'm so glad I got the opportunity to talk to you.
One thing I can say, like people always make fun of Facebook, but it allows me, I've been able to follow you through Panama, and, you know, we've known each other over 30 years, I believe. So, you know, I think it's awesome. I've been watching you grow and build your podcast, and I think it's awesome. I think it's great.
I didn't know what I was going to do when I came to Naples, if I was going to continue the podcast or not, but just these doors have just opened up. You know, everything has just happened perfectly. Right along with you saying, I'm going to clear my schedule so I can do your podcast today. You know, like that's the kind of wonderful things that are happening. And then that inspires me. It makes me want to talk to you and learn from you and help my followers learn from you as well, and learn how you're so strong and what keeps you strong. And what keeps you strong, as I understand it, is your mind.
Absolutely.
And what you put into it.
Yep.
And you're the only
It's
one
all
that's in charge
diet.
of that, right?
You are. You make the choice, you know. It's like our diet is, you know, we say it's what we eat, but it's what we listen to, it's who we hang around with. It's all coming in. It's not just, you know, it's not just food, it's everything.
Exactly.
So if you're listening to positive stuff, you're going to be positive. So
Well said.
I've always been that way. So
Exactly. Well said. Well, listen, I have a listing here in Naples I want to share with you today. It's pretty phenomenal because here in Naples, a big thing that they have are called HOA fees. These are fees you have to pay to the association to live in the neighborhood. Well, this particular house is in East Naples, and it has no HOA fees. And not only that, it has a tenant living in the guest house in the backyard, the one-bedroom guest house that pays half the mortgage if you mortgage it. They pay $1,500 rent a month. They can stay or they can go with the new owners. They'd like to stay. So anyway, I just wanted to share this with you. It's at 3954 Coconut Circle North, Naples, Florida, 34104. The MLS number is right there, and you can contact me or contact your favorite realtor. And, you know, I'd love to show it to you, send you some more information. My contact number is 305-975-3404. And if I can't help you with this property and you're interested in living in Florida, just let me know what else I can help you with. I'd be more than happy to. And my name is Tracy Busch Pate. Again, this is Sensei Jack Morris. And we are so happy you came here today. And we hope that you'll check out the podcast before this. It was called Why Do Bad Things Happen to Good People? And this is a great example of that. I mean, Jack only told you a little bit of the stuff that he's been through. I know he's been through a lot more than that. And you know, it's all just about how you perceive what happens to you and what you do. Are you going to be active, or are you going to let this be you? Right? All right. Thanks again, guys. Have a great day and a great weekend. And thank you, Jack. It's so nice to reunite with you. I'm so excited to go to my new acupuncture now here in Naples. Right? Okay. Talk to you soon. Do you want to share any more contact information about how they can get a hold of you? I'm going to put it in the message down below this video.
it's jackmorrisap.com. You can go there for my website.
Yes, and please give this video a like, share it with someone else that might help, who might be going through similar things. If you can subscribe to our channel and post your thoughts down below. If you want to hear something else, if you want to hear something else from Jack, if you want me to have him back, let me know. He'll come back and talk to us and share more great information for you. Just let us know what you want. And that's going to help us with the YouTube algorithm so more people see our message. Thanks, guys. Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Jack.